Okay,
Okay.
we're live, but no one can see you.
I
We're
don't know why. Must be in a settings section. Second. Microphone access change.
yeah, you're having trouble hearing me, right? Guys, I'm assuming you can hear me. Everyone can hear me except for Amanda, and she is configuring her computer right now to figure out why she can't hear me. But I'm assuming all of you can. Audio check, audio check. Why don't you guys let me know? Make sure that I am working as I think I am, and we will be starting here shortly. Great, sounds good. Thank you all. Oregano Cat, thank you. Huggin Bear, hey James York, loud and clear. Great, great. I still can't hear you, Amanda, but that's okay. We're gonna figure this out. Amanda is working on her audio, but to be fair, she just got a new computer, and that's happening. So, did you watch the stream this morning?
Oh boy.
I hear you. Can you? I hear you.
I'm having big problems.
Did you hear me?
Sorry. General.
All right, she's getting there. Yeah. So this morning's stream that was pretty raw. I hope you enjoyed that. It's been a long week, and I really just been limping across the finish line. In fact, probably the only stream I've been sort of like not worried about at all is this one with Amanda, and anyway, but here it is, and the audio isn't working, but she's kicking it. Let's watch Amanda work on her computer right now. Amanda's typing. She's working on it. As I said before, she did get a new computer. Yeah, long week, lots of vitriol. This morning we covered vitriol. I'm going to take this opportunity to tell you guys need to check out Marty Leeds' latest live stream. He came in with some serious goods and kind of elaborated further on this idea of not only morality itself, but the whole riff, or the whole debate, the whole chasm between exoteric and esoteric, sort of like me and Owen Benjamin kind of thing like that. Speaking of Owen, congratulations. That guy had a beautiful boy today, and I'm just really happy to see that. Everything seems to be fine. I only know that from Instagram. I just want to say I'm just repeating public information, but that was really, really nice to see. To celebrate, I actually sent Owen a text. We haven't texted each other since this rift started, and I took the birth of his boy as an opportunity to kind of bridge that gap and bring us together. So I sent him a text, basically just sending him some love and saying I'm glad everything's okay. And I know that dude had to like see that and smile, because yeah, it's showing the power of babies, isn't it? Like, it's showing the power of all that stuff. Amanda is still working on her. You can't hear me, right, Amanda? Right. Okay. No, she's still working. Well, let's watch Amanda. Yeah, she's working very hard though. We definitely we definitely have to give her that. Marty kicked total ass today. It was great. I forgot that if you divide the orbit of was like solar and then the Venus orbit or Earth orbit, I forget which one, but I used to know that. I forgot that was the phi ratio. That the literal definition of beauty itself, phi, the golden section, right, 1.618, is literally encoded in the planet Venus. And I had completely forgotten that, and Marty knocked it out of the park. by explaining all that. And so, hats off to Marty for that. Yeah, she could actually. I'm going to tell her she can call me on the phone. We'll see if she sees it. Let's see here. Want to do it via phone. Sorry, guys. Thank you, Vividness. That was a quite a authentic show this morning. I did not want to get on the show. God, I did not want to get on the show. And I could not fake it. I could not pretend like I was like embracing the moment. I work really hard to actually get into the right flow state for my live streams. I don't really have a script, and the goal is more to get in flow state. And flow state was so hard today. But it's the good vitriol. That's the great vitriol. It's part of that. Whew, I'm thankful for that. I've grown up with lots and lots of deadlines in my life. Working in newspapers. I used to work in newspapers, not as a writer actually. Ironically, I was the graphic designer, and I did that for years and years, and learned cover design, like graphic design. What causes? I will move to my other computer. Okay, she's working on it. What causes someone to pick up a magazine, for example? That's where I learned about the face. The face, by far, is the most highly stimulating part of a person's brain. Is when you show them a face. A cover with a face will always do better than a cover without a face. It doesn't matter the quality of that face even. It's just if you have a face, that's going to light up your fMRI. All of your brain activity is lit up when it's trying to recognize a face. Yeah, that's some vitriol. And I hope you guys are understanding that term right. The picking up of weight as if you wanted to strengthen yourself is a different approach than being forced to carry something heavy over and over again. Those are both exactly the same activity. But if you go to a gym and you pay a monthly fee and you go in and you pick up a dumbbell and you do this, that's going to have a completely different alchemical signature to you than if you came home and your wife, your husband, your parent, your friend, your boss, whatever, said, pick up that dumbbell. And then so you pick it up and it's like, okay, now put it down. And you're like, okay. And you're like, pick it up. And you're like, okay. And it's like, and put it down. And you have a different alchemical transaction there. The entire thing's different. But you're literally doing the same thing. Everything's exactly the same, except for how you approach it. How you approach the vitriol, the gifts of Baal is vitriol. It's both the same. It's both the same. I had to use vitriol because everyone's freaking the fuck out on me. And gifts of Baal is like making everybody go nuts. So if we're going to flip out on that, then we have to like jump, right? We will create new language. And it's weird because people are like, why are you always creating new language? And it's like, because we are retarded. And sometimes you have to create a new word to explain something when you're that retarded. And we all are. It's a shared retardation. We knowingly stopped developing because we were scared of where it was going to go. And that was unacceptable. It still is, isn't it? It still is. I'm here, but I can't hear. Okay, good. Looks like that. Yeah, he did a good job of, Marty Leach did a good job of critiquing Michael E. Jones. I think that's important. I think I think Michael Jones could actually learn a lot from listening to people that are like theologists, right? Like people that are actually like practicing theology versus following theology. These are two totally different acts. You can follow theology, but that's not really practicing theology. It's these are different games. You can follow NASCAR or you can drive NASCAR. And I think that's why you see such a riff. I think that's why it was so surprising to so many to watch how so many of Owen's audience responded, because they want to follow theology. They don't want to practice theology. These are very, very, very different acts. It's no different than asking your partner to lead when she's always following you. You're asking someone to do something that is antithetical. Oh, there she is. Let's see if she's here. You there?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't see the invite down there. You were probably there for a while. Okay, so no
That's
video
all
yet.
right.
There you are. Great. I'm going to turn off the speaker. All right, now the good stuff's here. Hopefully people didn't leave because they were disappointed because you weren't here. Most of them were like throwing tomatoes and like, how dare you?
I know.
Why is she not here? What have you done to her? Why have you done this, you evil, dark overlord? And so, thank you. You're not under duress, right? None of this is under duress. All right, good. So, Amanda, how's your week going? Is everything going okay?
It's been a very interesting week leading up to this full moon. I really think this one's going to be a doozy, because I can usually tell about up to 4 or 5 days beforehand. So, it's been a busy week for me. I do a lot of things, probably too many things. And, I'm tired, but it's worth it. It's worth it for what I'm doing. I feel like you could probably see some like dark circles a little bit, because
you should get closer. You should get closer. Yeah,
right,
keep going
right
closer. Yeah, just closer. Yeah.
Right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the sleep is getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's I make a lot of products, right? Like I make over 150 natural products by hand that I have to keep on top of myself. And then I do professional supplements. I bring a lot of stuff in the store. I have a lot of products, and I don't know what compelled me to get to this state in my life, but now I've created the monster, and I have to keep it.
That's right.
Fed. Yeah.
But it's a great monster. It's helping a lot of people. It's a very helpful, community oriented, centered monster. It's really well done.
Thanks. Yeah. It's good. It's just I gotta get my own, everything comes back to, can you take care of yourself? Can you fuel your motivations? Can you, right? Because what are you doing it for if you're just going to be drained and miserable and suffering? And I don't do things for the money. It's not ever a motivating factor for me. The motivating factor is really the end result of my works, right? My creations.
Right.
So that's what I get excited for. Like I've probably said before, I love making cold processed soap, and I can barely sleep the night that I make soap because I can't wait until the morning to cut it and see what it looks like.
I'm picturing like a Fight Club scenario with you in the bathtub where you're like pouring acid on someone's hand and telling them, it's time to wake up. We have to make the soap. I'm thinking it's probably not like that though. Maybe I've read that wrong.
Not really.
No,
it's intense. Soap making is intense because there's all this prep and all this anticipation and all this lead up and you got to plan everything perfectly. And then once you start, you can't stop and you're in it, and then you've got to it's intense and you got to work fast. And there can be like bumps in the road. It's kind of like life. Making soap is like life. You got to go with the flow. Sometimes things don't go as you planned them to go, or you had all the best intentions, but whoops, oh well, you overcooked the soap and now you have a hot process soap or whatever, right? And you have to just mold it. You still have to work with it. You still want it to be salvageable. And even the worst situations, I'm thinking, oh man, I screwed up that soap so bad. I get up in the morning and it's like rejoice. It's awesome. It actually did this really cool thing. It now looks like stonework where I thought it was going to be this other thing. So it's to me, it's just like how life is,
Do you call
ups and
that?
downs.
Do you call that like the great congealing or something? Do you have like a cool term for that?
It is a great congealing. It is a gel. The soap actually literally goes through a gel phase. You
Yeah.
want that. Yeah.
Well, I can attest that anyone who's been to my house has always said one thing, that I should not go into soap making. I shouldn't be in the industry at all. Anything involving soap or any sort of cleaning product, it's not my industry. It's,
I see.
I'm told plastics, anything else, just don't go into soap. So I applaud you because I apparently I need that. I need your service in that way. So
I'll have to ship you some soaps.
yeah, I've been
Yeah.
told that a lot too. Yeah, people have told me that too. Maybe I need to reflect on that. So
Maybe.
yeah,
Soap is alchemy, right? That's the other reason I love it. You're really taking it blew my mind. The whole saponification chemical process was one of the most like mind exploding things to be like, I can take
So-
fat, literally,
right?
oil, fat, lard, whatever, and I can add an alkali to it, and it will completely transform into a cleaning substance. Like what? Right? And it's literally a chemical cooking. And to me, I understood. I learned it in grade school, but you didn't really get the fantasticness of that
Yeah.
until you do it. You're like, I just made the most cherished thing. I mean, when it's 1920s and you got the Dust Bowl, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you need the most? What I just made, soap.
Yep.
Okay, maybe food too, but you know what I mean. You still got to clean your body and clean your life up. So it's pretty magical.
That's awesome. And then, of course, the DSMO. That's
DMSO.
DMSO. Sorry, dyslexic there a little bit, but that's been a big push too, and a big part of your business, right?
Yeah, and that came kind of oddly because the way that I found out about it, I learned it in naturopathic college, but I didn't really think I was going to use it because they just propped it up as something that you use in sports medicine. Because all the big, sports companies, they know all about DMSO, and so do all the equine, the horse, racing industry. They know all about it. They've been using it for decades. And I thought, I'm not going into sports med, so what do I need it for?
What do they use it for on horses? Is this for horses?
They use that, like, yeah. Well, vets use it a lot, and in horse racing, when you have you have a horse really pushing their body, and you don't want them to be injured, so you can prevent injury when you use it prophylactically. And if you want to, after the race, you just help them recover very quickly, putting it on their body, right? So it's used a lot in that industry and in the veterinary industry. But then I just found it at the health food store. So I'm like, ooh, something that burns and bubbles. What is this thing?
God, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I have to look up prophylactically because I'm not sure what that means, and I'm afraid that I could be wrong in what it means.
It means preventatively or preparedness of what's to come. So you put on a condom prophylactically.
Okay, I actually had this really weird idea that maybe someone was applying this DMSO to the horse's to his keel. And I thought that it was like, hey, that horse just had a great race. I want you to take this bucket of DMSO and just go anoint his keel, and just the horse will like it.
In the mind of James True.
This is why I said I wanted to look it up, and you should be thanking me for being authentic with that instead of just moving over. Because I think that there are people in the audience that maybe were thinking the same thing, and I just saved them from a huge mistake at their next party when they're explaining that no, they use that on horses prophylactically, and they're like, what do you mean? It's like, yeah, they just rub it all up and down their member down there, and it makes the horse. It's really. That's how do you think Mr. Ed got him? Yeah, that's how he got that job. So, yeah.
I should have went with that. now that I think about it.
Well, that's why I'm here. We are the Captain and Tennille of the analogies, right? Right, to really really go way back in there. So yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I can now hear that song in my head. Thanks a lot.
you're welcome.
Yeah, great. No, but it's something that it's one of those things that I became passionate about because it's one of those substances everyone should use or have in their house or know about, because when you have something that does so many things, then it's a panacea of support. And you can, if you're in a pinch and you can't get into an emergency support system situation, like some major injury or a stroke or a heart attack or something really alarming, you can use that, and it can be life-saving, right? So it's a big deal to know about. And then of course, broken bones heal in a week. Things that are old scars heal up. It's anti-aging. I mean, it heals cancer. I mean, it's like, what doesn't it do? So it's one of those. That's why when I was asked to write the book, I'm like, yeah, I will suffer to write this book, but it'll be worth it because a lot of people will know about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my goal. And it's good because I wrote it like a geek, but the publishing company really helped me to edit it and clarify words and make it user friendly for people, so that people, they've never heard of the substance, they could read the book and by the end they'll totally feel comfortable using it, which is perfect. So it worked out.
Excelente.
Yeah, and it mixes well with other things, and there's not too many people doing that. And so I have about 15 products that blend DMSO with other stuff, other creams, lotions, eye drops, all kinds of. I have a vein tonic that supports the vein system. I have, just and I'm moving on to other inventions as well. So that's really fun.
Can you on your live stream the other day, you were starting to go in. You didn't start to. You really went into hydrofluorocarbons. That's the technical pronunciation.
Hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I said.
Yeah, I
that's
know.
what I said.
I'm just making sure.
That's
like,
what
I'm
I said.
just
I clearly said
reiterating.
that.
Yeah.
Everyone in chat, you can confirm. I clearly said that. Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah. Can you give us a review on that? Because I found that stunning what you had to say.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I woke up to that, I was like, okay, here we go. And I was very proud of myself because it easily could have been, maybe last month I would have got sucked into what that little ploy was, right? But I saw immediately the game is afoot. Okay.
Sorry, just to catch everyone up. This is the what they're claiming to be the cure for the claiming to be disease or whatever you want to call it of COVID-19, right? Just to make sure everyone's caught up. And the hydrofluorocarbons was instrumental right now because first, right, it was banned and then it was not banned. I just want to make sure everyone's clear because a lot of my guys, they don't even watch this. They're just like, we don't even watch anymore. But it's important what you had to say.
Well, there's a lot of games afoot with this particular substance, because first of all, it comes out from Breitbart, right? So Steve Bannon is immediately behind this getting out there. And it's like a bunch of outraged white coat doctors from different countries even proclaiming they demand, this drug to heal their COVID patients, right? And then it got out for a little while. It was allowed to circulate because I got it sent to me probably 15 times in my inbox. And then immediately it got taken away. It got, blocked on Facebook, pulled off all over social media. It's taken down. And then you got the real outrage coming, right? The how dare they take down this must be true because they're censoring it stuff. And I went, come on, guys, we're smarter than this, aren't we? I mean, can we not see what's happening here?
No, we can't.
Obviously not.
Yeah, because Twitter is flooded. My old Q family, the ones that either haven't noticed yet or are still like me for other reasons, there is an onslaught of Jordan Sather was leading that today, actually, of we've got it. We've got it. The cabal tried to stop us from this cure. Quick, everyone drink this. Quick. And then the gifts of bar are like, it's a suppository. And Jordan's like, quick, pull down your we have to take this. You have every orifice. We have to take this now. And it was spurred by the fact that it was trying to be blocked. Right? It was spurred by prohibition. And I'd like to remind everybody that before prohibition in America, people didn't drink that much. There was not nearly as much drinking. It was because of prohibition that causes the bellow, right? You squeeze the bellow, right? Actually, you expand the bellow. And then once it's pulled all the way out, and then you can let go of that power. The war on drugs is the same thing. All of these systems work the exact same way, don't they? And this is no different.
Yeah, they knew the psychology of people long ago. And now they know it even more refined because they've been studying our social media for a long time. They know exactly how the subpopulations will respond to certain stimulus, right? So they'll especially love to play with the truther community and divide them and play around. It's probably more like akin to a cat to a mouse, but how easy would it be to just give the candy or show the candy and then take it away and you want the candy? It's classic psychological manipulation. I mean, it's literally textbook. It's literally what you do with children if you want them to like behave a certain way, right? I mean, it's in children's books. Like this is like parenting books.
Right. Yeah.
This is how you make them want the thing that you say, oh, you don't want the peas. No, you don't. No, I'm going to eat the peas. They're mine, right? And they're like, give me the peas. It's like, this is it. And so that's the behavior that we had with this story. Right. It's sensational. You have rage. You have sweating people being outraged about this demanding. It was it was juicy, right? It was salacious, as you like to say, right?
Yes.
Perfect. And then what's it going to do? Lots of things. One, it's going to, be good for Trump's numbers, of course, because he's going to support it. And then people who are in that truth category who don't like vaccines. So that's a huge demographic of people that don't like vaccines.
Right.
Okay. So they want something else that they can still make money on. They can still make them say, hey, see, doctors are good. They are trying to help you. They are heroes, like doctors. Hey, there are good drugs. Some drugs are really super good, like drugs, like this drug.
Right.
It's like pulling them right into the same false paradigm, the same suppressive therapy game, right? And it's tricking people to want the thing that we've been judging all along as big pharma. Big pharma's bad and whatever. Now all of a sudden you like big pharma? I think you're confused, right? Oh, but sometimes it's okay. It's a game. And a lot of people fell for it. And they think it's safe because it's been around a long time. It's a malarial drug. But that malaria drug, if you go read the inserts and the side effects, they have some serious side effects because it's a drug, guys. And I don't hear these doctors saying, we want vitamin C because vitamin C heals this, whatever this respiratory thing is that we're seeing, that, you know what, this respiratory disease is the same as all other respiratory diseases, but because we're so brainwashed that we can't actually see a patient for what they are, and we have to have some sort of test on a piece of paper or a scan to understand the human body, we're going to make up new diseases as we go, because as soon as you say, oh, there's a new disease because it's on paper as a new disease, they're blind. They can't go, oh, that person just has respiratory distress. We should just like treat their lungs and like give them, some vitamins and help them detox because they're having a detox reaction. They're poisoned. So let's just heal them with the normal things that we have had for ages. But they ignore those things completely, right? The fact they're even talking about zinc is a bloody miracle, but it's the wrong kind of zinc. And it's also probably the thing that's actually working, not the chloroquine, but whatever. And working on what? Working on people with respiratory challenges? Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I give that to clients that come in with respiratory challenges too. But that doesn't mean they have some brand new fandangled virus. So the other part of the agenda is to make people believe there's really a virus, because now they have thousands of patients they're treating, and
Sure.
It's the whole big, oh, so there's a virus now, doctors are good, this drug is good drug, and whatever. But the side effects include, first of all, it opens the cell. It allows nanoparticles to enter the cell. What are nanoparticles? Well, they spray the hell out of us with nanometals. They have for decades. So gets those metals right inside the cell to damage the metabolism of the cell. Okay, so there's that problem. Then we have, and it's funny because somebody asked me about it a long time ago when it first started being talked about. So I went and did some research on it, and I came back and I said, well, right away, one of the side effects is increased sensitivity to electromagnetic radiation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I smell a rat, because they're putting up these 5G towers like going out of style. So what are they setting you up for? Well, first of all, the vaccine is an electroporation machine. Basically, they have to do an injection, and they have to do a zap, because the zap part gets it opened up, gets the cell opened up to take in the new RNA or DNA material, because it basically makes your own cells produce the thing they're trying to say helps you, right? So they're hijacking your cells to make some sort of antidote to this fake virus, right? That's what they say they're doing, but it's going to alter the DNA, and we already have seen the evidence of that in the paperwork, in the science.
Right. GMO humans made by a vaccine created by a false virus that shut down the entire world global economic system, is ending all coinage, all currency, all physical currency, all travel, all international travel, all small businesses, all social interactions, social distancing, child abuse, actual child abuse, systemic child abuse happening, all under the auspices of we're going to save you.
Yeah. Heard this story before.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always about our health and safety, isn't it? They really, really seem to love us and care.
Yeah. You have to, I want to take a moment to give us a slight pat on the back for, just going to bear with me here, for how much more they had to think this time than, say, World War II. Because in World War II, all they really kind of had to do, Amanda, was like give you a coat and like a free ride, and then just tell you that evil's a dude that's wearing like a cross, like a skull and bones, and just here's a gun, just shoot anyone with a skull and bones shirt on. Like if that shirt's red, you shoot him, and that's used to be all it took. Now it takes science, it takes media, it takes stories, it takes scaring children, it takes global pandemics, quote, quote. It takes celebrities. It takes full immersion from every nook and cranny to get us to do this. And they're no longer able to convince us to pick up a rifle and shoot each other. So I just, if you can hear that, I think you'll see we have come a long way. We have. I realize that we're still in the bleachers section here. But we're getting there, Amanda. We're getting there.
Yeah, we are. Well, I'm very proud of us. I think we've come extremely far, and it's not easy to really get us fooled as it once was. So we're getting wiser. Our discernment's getting better. Where we might falter and kind of get hooked in for a second,
of
but
course.
then we make a quick correction. Like, oh wait, nah, you know what? Doesn't feel right. So we're getting more intuitive. We're getting more centered with ourselves, right? And even once I started to speak about that, I really went through a lot of my feed, and I corrected that and just said, just think for a second, Even went to Jason Christoph, he got pulled into it. I said, Jason, come on, man, you're smart. This is how they play. This is their sensational story. They want it to go viral, and you're being used. That's why I called that video I did. Are you tired of being used and abused?
Yeah.
Because really, it's just they're using our psychology to spread a story and make it viral. That story did go wild because we did it, because we're like, we won't stop them from censoring.
Right.
We don't like censorship. We're going to make sure we get this everywhere. And people spent a lot of calories getting it out there, and I mean, it was literally filled in my feeds, all of it. It was just about that. So it worked, didn't it?
Yeah.
But now there's corrections being made.
Yeah, well, it did work, and I'm not trying to say that obviously we don't have a long way to go, because we do, but it's refreshing to see it's slowly happening. There are more of us asking these questions. You are not being ridiculed, nor am I, nearly as much as, say, 2 years ago or anything like that. It's the situation is changing. And it's a good time to just keep pushing and keep asking again and again and again. Why are you assuming that's true? Why are you assuming that's true? Why are you assuming that's true? Because we're still in that default mode of whatever the news tells us is true by default, and it is the burden of someone else to prove that it is false first, with facts and circles and arrows and all that stuff. And then only after that, if I have time to read your story too, then I will reconsider, maybe possibly retracting my belief on what I heard now 4 days ago. So that's not working. That's not working. Okay, this tactic is not working. I've tried this tactic. You've tried this tactic. We still do this tactic, but it's not working. It will never catch up. The only way we're going to catch up is if we can get enough people to make it expensive to have a default belief that something is true. And I think that on this note, I think that's slowly happening. Amanda, I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to see this probably on your screen, but I'm showing a story that basically says you must not do your own research when it comes to science. This is out of Forbes magazine. It says research is for the experts. Listen to them instead. Guys, this is not a Babylon Bee article. I pulled this myself. This is not a Babylon Bee article. This is from Forbes magazine. And although you may look at that and say, oh, that's evil, salacious propaganda, I look at that as possibly saving the ones that could be saved. I see that as such a clear, obvious stab at stupidity that it's almost like a warning sign that says, do not pass this line if you are retarded. And then just letting it happen, just seeing who's going to go past that line, who isn't, who's going to stop and who's not. I keep seeing things like that happen. And it's part of this best apocalypse ever that I keep pushing. But articles like that are directly contradicting themselves because, again, one day they're telling you, if you doubt the experts, you're wrong. And then literally the next day they're telling you this. They're showing you that, I know you can't see this. Wait, hang on. Wrong direction. Same magazine. These 75 hand sanitizers have been recalled by the FDA for methanol contamination. So literally from the same magazine, the same place, we're telling you trust emphatically and, oh shit, whatever they told you is wrong. It's going to kill you. So it feels like the vitriol is still being injected from all sides. It doesn't feel like this is just straight up, we're trying to enslave you. We would be in chains now. I'm telling you, we would. We would have fallen for that.
Mm-hmm. They will do that again, it's all training you into discernment. And a lot of people will come to me for, medical support, and they're confused. And because they say, well, I read a study or an article that caffeine's good for you. And then I also read that it's bad for you. I read that, taking high doses of vitamin C is bad for you. And then I read it's good for you. You always will find the polarity on both sides, because that's training us into, can we figure it out enough ourselves by looking at that and studying that and turning that sculpture all the way around and looking at from all the angles to see, oh, wait a second, actually that was a ghost written piece of science, or that piece of science was not substantiated. It was just an idea, or that news article was, backed by this pharmaceutical industry. Like, how deep it will take you to get to what's true. And then the other thing is then you're supposed to experience it. Ideally, if that's something that calls to you, then you will begin to experience what it would be like to drink 4 cups of coffee a day and then you don't feel really, really good. but you use coffee as a coffee enema and you feel awesome, right? That's appropriate usage. Or maybe you have a headache and you know that a little bit of coffee actually can help. Or you know that everything's about dose. You learn that like a little bit's good, but a lot's not is a problem. So that means it is good, but in small doses, but it's not good in large doses. So you get into nuancing of what all that means, right? And even in AD or ADHD children, a few sips of coffee can actually regulate them, right? So is it bad in that case? You know, because we'll say, well, children should not drink coffee, and of course they shouldn't. But in certain cases, it can be used medicinally, right? And it's like that with everything. So instead of going black and white, where it's all good or it's all bad, it tempers you, like we've talked about the Trinity before, into mastering the truth about that particular topic. And it really comes down to adding up all those things in your reality and being able to quantify it yourself and qualify it yourself. Go, well, yeah, you know, at least for me, in my experience, I know when I drank a lot of coffee, I got, you know, felt burnout at 2 PM. I had to have another pick me up, and I couldn't sleep that well that night. And I didn't even realize how bad it was on my sleep. And when I stopped drinking it, my sleep improved and my anxiety started to go down. And so I know that at least for me, I can't, you know, I don't want to do that to myself, right? Rather than this good and bad game, because that's all over the news. It's always very black and white like that. It is a black and white print, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's, you know, that's the use of it. Sorry about that. So it's just about can we be smart enough? Can we use our brains? Can we think, and can we be intuitive? So use both sides of our brains, be intuitive and have the cognition to process those experiences, and give it time. Give it time. Give it time to sort itself out. Do you get pulled right into a reaction? Oh, it's bad, I'm going to stop right away.
Right.
Or are you going to just say, oh, that's an opinion. It's an interesting opinion. I'm going to just let it settle for a while, sleep on it. My spiritual teachers always say that, oh, I'm going to sleep on that. I'm like, okay. Why, unless you're in a life or death situation, you probably have some time just to say, I'd like to mull it over a little bit, you know?
Now you
And
tell me.
Jeez. Sorry. I know. People are so quick to hop on things. Like I was even reading some of the comments on one of the videos that Andy and I did, and wow, people were they're just so judgmental. Like, oh, well, I don't like her because she said this word. She must be this and that and this and that. I'm like, but how would you make that assessment based on one simple conversation where I said one word that you judge because you're brainwashed into a specific religion, right? How is that fair to do that to somebody when you've never met me, we've never had a conversation, right? You haven't watched all my content or any of my other content. So how do you just immediately react because that soul force is so immature, right? They're just instantaneously being pulled here and pulled there and pulled here and pulled there, right? And it's the same thing with all this stuff.
I've been using Black Lives Matter as an example for that. And what I mean by that is that 2 months ago, before I had more compassion than I do now, editor's note, I'm not an expert on compassion, nor does me being compassionate mean I'm nice. I will still call you a dickhole and still be compassionate. But back to what I'm saying is that before I had compassion, I would look at Black Lives Matter as lost, retarded sheep that had nothing at all to help for. They were being mean. They were being evil. They weren't even paying attention. They were serving the machine. They were all these other words. And now I have this new vista, which is that they are exercising their compassion to the best of their ability. Black Lives Matter is like T-Rex arms. And this is your compassion. And they're like, I'm compassionate. Like that. And when I look at it that way, I see the world through a whole other lens. And I understand that based on how far our arms go, it's going to directly determine the amount that our morality stretches out from us, the amount that our empathy stretches out from us. And so now I'm able to see that there's a whole swath of people, I would dare say everyone, when I say everyone, I'm not trying to say literally 100% of everyone, but like almost all of everyone is trying to be as compassionate as they can. They are trying. I don't know of anyone that I've ever met that's like, they wake up and they're like, I'm here to perform immoral decisions right now. I'm here to perform evil. I'm going to shit in my Cheerios and eat it. That would be something evil. I'm going to slash my own tires on my way to work. That would be evil. I'm going to, it's to truly be evil would mean to have no long-term direction, no vector, no goal. Because the goal itself is the opposite of chaos. The goal itself is the opposite of wicked. So we have this notion that we fight evil when in fact what we fight is our own lack of compassion, our own lack of ability to apply compassion to everyone around us, even when they have T-Rex arms and they're like, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. It's you can reach them. And when you can reach them there, I think that's where we can start to battle this true problem, which is what I brought up earlier. The true problem is that there's a base assumption that everything's true. And a worse problem is that we think the moment that CNN says something that's truthful, they are now legitimate. That they would never ever give out good intel ever. They would never ever do that if they were not, or if they were evil. Therefore, they must be good. And we do this. And it's easy for me to say CNN because most of the people that used to follow me that didn't like CNN would have no problem with that, but they're not willing to do that to Breitbart. They're not willing to do that with QAnon. They're not willing to do that with Trump. They're not willing to do that with General Flynn. They're not willing to do that with anyone that threatens their emotional position. So let's go back to this T-Rex. I don't think we can do this with words. I think this is more about an electrical field. There's an electrical reaction when someone sees you and Andy talking and they say shit like that. That's an electrical dump. It's not a neocortex dump. It's an electrical dump. It's like, oh, I think you're insane, Amanda. And all that is just a dump. Like, oh, here's a great place. I can dump all this electrical current right here. That seems to be more to the core of what's truly happening. I would say in 85% of us, if not even a lot more, it truly comes down to that just electrical tendency, which is going to be more based on resonance, dissonance, and evacuation, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Those are the primaries that I think we're facing right now.
Yeah, and being a strong mirror for people because I'm easily, I can see through a lot of stuff. People, when a child, they think they're getting away with a lie, but they're lying, right? But you're playing along because you don't want to embarrass them or you want them to go through a lesson or whatever, right? It's like that, but I see the little child inside the adult body doing the same thing. So people think they're getting away with something, but I see it. But the difference is they see that I see it and they don't like that. And so a lot of the time I've been my whole life dumped on like that, electrically dumped on, because they just don't like the reflection I'm holding for them, because I'm inviting them to step into their integrity. Mm-hmm. I'm inviting them to say, you know what? Yeah, my behavior right now isn't the best, and I just evacuated myself. I'm sorry. I just did a behavior that really wasn't, mature, and I apologize. Or because we have to give each other opportunities to do that, to own that. Mm. And the thing is, you're afraid to do that because you think as a child, like most of us grew up, if you do something wrong, you get the shoe thrown at you, right? So you're afraid because you're still in your inner child, your wounded child. And so you're afraid that if you own up to something, you're going to get punished, right? And that you'd rather lie about it or you'd rather cover it over. But if you actually were brave enough to say, you know what, that really wasn't cool of me. I'm really sorry about that. Let me explain myself where I was at, but I'm sort of coming around to what I did. Please accept my apology. Not only does the person who's been holding that mirror feel a resolve and a balance of that polarity, that energy that happened. But that individual now is come back into themselves, right? And they have a new power in themselves, because you feel such a sigh of relief when you realize you don't have to carry around that false part anymore. It's like you've put down a stone that's very heavy, and you just put it on the ground and said, you let the electricity go through the ground rather than tossing it at people, right? And you actually get merit from that, and you actually practice your mature self that way. And when you realize it's not scary, that other person said, hey, you know what, I totally understand, I've done it myself, been there, or whatever. Or even if they said, well, I didn't really like that, that wasn't cool, or something along those lines, still you get through it and you realize that wasn't so bad. That was okay. I came back to understanding that was me. I took responsibility for a behavior, right? So that's the only, I see, it's either a child reacting like baby caca, right? Throwing baby caca around, right? And not seeing that what they're doing. They're throwing tantrums, literally throwing tantrums. So that's how I think, when you say the electrical thumb, to me, it's like when a child throws a tantrum, they have all this electricity. They can't process it. They can't even literally, like why you said, the cortex is not involved here. This is like jolt, can't compute, too much stimulus. Bleh,
Yeah, it's like a toll road. It's all automatic too. Like you've already dictated. You have this toll road, and if you're going past your husband and he did the dishes, he did a crappy job, and you didn't like it, just like Green Mountain's girl saying, it's you. You have this energetic toll road that you pass that the words don't mean crap. Just like when you go to a toll road, it doesn't matter what you say. You can say, baziga baba seva. All you have to do is hand them $1. That's all you have to do. That's all they want. They're not listening to you, right? They're looking for the dollar. That's how you get past this toll road. And I think that's what we're seeing happening. And so I would even go so far as to say I don't see a lot of shows doing this. I would like to give advice for how to breed compassion in someone. And I think that when you see someone who's wearing a mask, when you see someone who is supporting Black Lives Matter, you have an opportunity to approach a child and to do something strategic with the compassion that you see them exerting. You can take that compassion and give it witness and show them how much more it could pour out of them, which is going to sound completely antithetical because now you're being asked to compassionate Black Lives Matter. You're being asked to compassionate a mask. Two things which I would assume that most of our audience is like, what'd you talk about, Willis? And I'm saying that is your sacrifice. You were going into the energetic coal mine with this person. You were going to be sitting next to them saying, let's go down and see what you've been mining lately. And because you've shown them compassion for their BLM, because you've shown them compassion for their mask, you are now in that cart, you were going down that elevator, and you are subterraneanly going at the heart of where they are, and you're going to find that heart is a desire for them to be a morally caring person that sleeps at night.
You're literally grounding. You're literally grounding yourself when you do that, right?
Yes.
You're going into the ground. You're grounding the electricity like a bolt of lightning would, and you're defusing it.
You are bonding, just like you and I may trauma bond a little this week. We too can bond on compassion, can't we? That you and I can say, hey, we have compassion in common. Wink, wink, and you're like, wink, wink, and we're like, hey, let's do something with this. And now we're playing blocks with compassion, not with how wrong you are, but with how amazing you are, how great you are, how energetically helpful you are to bring your witness to this event. And I think most of the time, all you're really doing is asking them to witness even more. You're like a doula, a witness doula, and you're like, come on, open that cervix up. And that's when they can start to pour more, right? What happens if you have enough compassion for Black Lives Matter, but you have even more, right? What is the thought process? Because I'll tell you, here's what the thought process is. There is none. Here's how it works. You can only give out 2 amps to Black Lives Matter. That's how retarded it is. It's only going to be out to here. But if you all of a sudden breathe, now you're like all the way out here, Black Lives Matter is no longer satisfying. The toll is not enough. You are now looking for something deeper. And now you've given them a deficit where they're still getting fed, but you've given them a deficit on their compassion. So now, hopefully, they're going to seek to put that deeper. What we can't do is say, so that all you got to do is just stop doing this to Black Lives Matter. You'll blow it. These things will shrivel back in, and they'll be back doing this again. You have to leave them with their compassion, with that excess, and you have to leave them with faith that they are the best pilot for their vessel, that they are going to make the best decision over anyone else, especially you, over where that excess compassion could go. Because it's going to be a different equation for everyone, isn't it? This is why I keep arguing that morality literally has to be generated from you, and it's based on the amount of energy, the pranic credits that you have that you can extend and apply empathy towards. So we're reversing the economy is what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting we reverse the economy entirely. And instead of tell the Black Lives Matter person that they don't give a shit about reality or truth, is to get in the ring with them, thank them, pace their compassion, and say, you could be even more compassionate. You were so deeply compassionate. I see room for you to do even more. And then just leave them with that. Just leave them with that. And you can do that all with your witness, I think. I think with your witness, all that's possible.
There was I have a sign on my door of my store that says no masks or any other device or hand sanitizer or anything is required here because we stand for truth and freedom and the charter. I'm in Canada, so the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, right? And so I get a lot of people taking off their masks and relieved to do so. But I had a couple in here today. One particular one, she had a face shield on. That was my first face shield experience. And I had to turn because I didn't mean to, but it looked so ridiculous. This little tiny woman with this big, like, welding looking thing on her, right? I had to turn away and I had to compose myself because it looked ridiculous.
I'm picturing Rick Moranis with that giant Darth Vader helmet, but go ahead, sorry.
Like that, but clear. Oh, man. So I had to turn around and I faced her and I said, can I help you with something? I said, you don't have to wear it in here if you don't want to. And she left it on. She was still processing that. But I think she saw me see her, and that I was, that it looked ridiculous. I think what she saw in the mirror of me was that I was trying to hold back laughter because she looks ridiculous.
Yes.
And not only it's not just about how she looks, the whole thing is just ridiculous from every standpoint, germ theory and all of these things that just don't hold water, right? And so she walked around and I was telling her about what I do. And then she said, so I don't have to wear anything, a mask in here, right? And I said, no. She said, okay. And then she finally took it off, right? And she completely, because you see, when I was joyous, even though I was laughing because it was silly, I wasn't like angry, like, oh, one of these, blah, 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 blah. It was nothing like that. And that's been the work. And so this is, if anything is going to trigger you, then you've got work to do, right? And there were a couple mask wearers that did trigger me the other day, and I had to just go in and send compassion and ask for forgiveness inside of myself and just kind of clear it. Today I was good. There was no pull, nothing was pushing my buttons. And then this one, I'm sorry, but I think because she relaxed, because my heart was open and I wasn't judging her. I wasn't really judging her, like, why are you doing that?
Right.
I was just making light of it, right? She saw that and she was like, it is kind of in her, it's just all kind of silly, isn't it? Yeah, it is kind of silly. Because the energy between us was about giddy silliness, right? And she left, she didn't put it back on. I maybe she will at some point, but I think she left with that feeling that this is silly. So maybe she'll feel the next time she goes to put it on how silly she feels, and she'll choose another option for herself, but at least it's an invitation to choose, right? That she does have a choice. And I don't think coming in, she felt she did have a choice. So she left with choice. So my compassion with her helped her understand and reminded her that she has choice. And the same thing with children. I always, with my child, I always say, well, you have a choice. Okay. You can either continue to tantrum or you can eat the peas, your choice. If you don't eat the peas, here's how it's going to go, right? Here are some other options for you. And so if we just look at it like that, we can easily get into compassion because we see them as just hurt and confused children. And many people in my store today say they just don't even know what to think.
Yeah.
They're so confused. There's so much information.
Well, and this is why we don't even need information. What we need is compassion. And anyone in D Live, I want you to please excuse CNY Machinist 9393. He just took a big crap on the carpet right there. And there's a lot of people that do that. They think that no one's compassionate, no one will accept compassion. And that's literally you not having compassion, CNY Machinist. And that's okay. I'm singling you out because I'm making this expensive for you to do that next time. Even if it doesn't work, I'm showing other people that no, that's crap. I can prove it. There's no way that someone could consciously not accept compassion from someone else. The reason why you consciously could not do that is because your neocortex lacks the capability to block compassion. Compassion is an adrenal antenna connection. It happens through the face. It doesn't happen through words. It doesn't happen through communication. It happens through the face. Facial recognition is empathy. A functional MRI proves this. I can show Amanda a picture of something horrible, and the transmission on her face, if I was watching her, would be transmitted to my face instantly. I don't mean 250 milliseconds later, which is what the neocortex is on. I mean instantly, because it is a photonic connection, a network of face to face. We feel pain faster than we can convey it through text. And therefore compassion is going to be transmitted to someone on a limbic level, on a reptilian level. And CNY Machinist, you cannot tell me that there are reptiles out there that do not want compassion, because that's exactly how they feed. They literally feed off compassion. So it is wrong to say that. It is wrong to think that. In fact, humans literally work the opposite way. Someone who's very, very angry at you, someone who hates you, someone who has been calling you vitriolic statements all week, you can extend him compassion with one text. Oh, and I'm really glad your baby's okay. Congratulations on being a dad. I fucking love you, man. Take care. It doesn't matter how mad Owen is. It doesn't matter what Owen said before. That reached his limbic core. He felt that. Even if his neocortex says, well, screw you, which he didn't say that, it still reached his limbic core. It now made it expensive for him to not accept compassion the next time. Guys, compassion does work. It literally works every time you're at a stop sign. Compassion is what runs stop signs. We see each other, don't we? We witness to each other, don't we? We are devoted to each other's will. What is your will, Amanda? I'm going straight. What is your will, James? I'm turning right. We have compassion for each other. Compassion predates language. It predates society. It predates the general public education fund. It predates all pharmaceutical medicine. It predates all war. Predates the tongue itself. Before all that's there's compassion. And I'm telling you guys, out of 100 of us, sorry, could you say it again? Stop. That I did not have compassion for Siri right then. Out of 100 of us, I guarantee you 3 of us are using compassion really well. And I'm not counting myself in that. So don't hear me as trying to be all guru on the mountain. I'm not. I'm saying that if we started doing this, if we started treating this like a freaking real dojo, in a dojo, yes, you can spar with someone, but you know you're in a dojo. You care about that person you're sparring with. You care about them. It's a completely different way to approach it, and you'll only get there if you realize where you are. You have to know where we are. God is witness here. Everything is being witnessed. Everything is being witnessed. And just because a human's not staring at you, if you start to adopt the fact that something is watching you, that you are watching yourself, you will start to develop compassion instantly. It will pour out of you like salt and oil. You won't be able to help it. This is what Amanda meant when she said second attention. I told you guys how she had said that in my live stream Monday or Tuesday. She's talking about the Hopi prophecy. I'm not saying she's speaking about what has also been said by the Hopi prophecy, that humans are developing a new sense, a new sensation. And I know that right now, because it's developing so slow, we don't see it yet. We think it's always been here, but it's always been subdued. It's not. The reason why there are T-Rex compassioneers out there is because they are reaching. They have broken through the soil. They are gasping at starlight. They don't even know what a sunrise is yet, guys. This is the sprout. And it's looking at Venus right now going, are you the sun? And it's just like, this is amazing. What an amazing. They don't even know the sun's getting ready to come up. So are we going to chop them down? Are we going to kick them under the dirt? Or are we going to witness them and say, look at you go, sprout. Look at that compassion grow. And it'll be a completely different garden overnight, guys. Overnight. I've seen it happen.
And that's why you said before, you don't yell at flowers, right?
Yes.
It's pointless.
That's right. Not every flower is going to open, is it? Not every flower is going to open when you want it to open. And thank you for saying that, because it's like we're in a field and we're going up to flowers going, hey, fuck you. Open, open, open. And if we could see ourselves, if we understood the true witness, if we could apply witness, the witness we're pretending to give someone else, if we would give ourselves, we would look back and go, God, I'm an asshole. Wow. I am yelling at a flower because it did not open when I wanted it to. And I only know this because I watch myself, guys. This is not me telling you you're doing. I'm saying this is how it works. You'd find this sense only when you apply it to yourself. Simulate compassion. Don't look for it out there. Simulate it. What does simulate mean? Literally go and like make it happen. Like look at Amanda and just start reading her and go, what's going on with her? How's she doing? She seems confident. Everything seems fine. She's breathing normally. She's blinking. Everything's great. Just start trying it. Don't be afraid to be wrong. Don't be afraid to say, so, how'd it go yesterday? You don't even know what you're asking about. You don't even know. But you'll start to notice this subtle attention. You know, this is called blind sight, by the way. There's a bona fide medical phenomenon where if you pull my eye out, I can still see. I still know what is outside of the right side of my head. Look it up on Wikipedia, blind sight. And I'm telling you, it's because we are perceiving the world through instruments that we do not understand right now. I call it the crystal ship, the pineal gland. I'm not saying that's the case, but we are perceiving the world through instruments we do not understand. And one of those instruments is empathy. We can pick up on the perturbations of someone else. That's how we know that dude's getting ready to rob a bank. He's not showing any, but someone knows. Someone knows. Someone who's giving witness knows, right? They're like, that dude's he's sketchy. He looks fine. He's sketchy. He's sketchy. Dude looks fine. No, he's sketchy. We have this sense. We just don't have the confidence to claim it. That's what we lack. This is all about confidence right now.
Well, there's claiming it and then there's training it.
Yes.
Right? So claiming it's the first step.
That's a great point. And training it is really about making mistakes and having the calories to make the mistake. Having the calories to make the mistake and go, oh, I read that situation wrong. I thought it was this, but it was that. Great. If we ever have this situation again, I probably won't make that same mistake again. And just keep doing it and doing it. Like, how do you get good at live stream, James? I want to get better at live stream. How do you do it? You get up every morning and you live stream. Even when you're having an awful day and you don't want anyone, you don't want to live stream, you show up and you just do it and you fuck it up. I knew this morning, this is going to suck so bad. I was like, I shouldn't even link it to social media. I should just like keep it still. It was like, no, I have to do it exactly as is. I have to. Because this will make me better the next time and the next time and the next time. But I have enough calories to burn. I don't sit around all day flogging my ego. I don't sit around all day telling everybody what a crappy person I am. I save those calories for when I want to fail at something so I can get better and improve. And all of us need to encourage that in everyone else. which means when you see compassion coming out of someone, even if it's a retarded T-Rex, you need to coax it. You need to water it, don't you?
There's a lot of young souls out there, and there's a lot of individuals that haven't been parented properly or even nourished, right? And so they're still carrying a lot of pain and a lot of disconnect and trauma and
Abandonment,
abuses, you name it. They haven't had certain experiences, or they've had really terrible experiences, and they're just trying to function through that. But if they don't have guidance, and we all can be guidance counselors in that regard, little by little, right? Supporting one another, making those choices, those compassionate choices. And then they'll say, oh, that inspired me when you said that. Like, that's why we do the live streams, even if we don't feel like doing the live streams, because what ends up happening is, and every time I do something, they always say, that was that one thing you said. That's all I need to hear. And that did this, and this for me. Great. Because it's not just about us, right? It's about what the purpose behind the activity, behind the calories is. And if you set your intention on that, you're going to be helping, or you're going to be speaking from your integrity, that means you're speaking from your true self. And that resonates with others who are also desiring, whether they know it or not, to be there, to get to that, right? And they will find either something inspiring, or it could be like, I had one client, she said she was trying to figure out the vaccine scam puzzle, and she just couldn't get her head around it. And she was looking for pieces of the puzzle. And then it was just one sentence that I said, and all of a sudden it just popped, and it all came together in her head, just like that. It was just, I don't even know what it was. And it doesn't matter, right? It mattered to her. But what I mean is, if I didn't get up that day and do that, then it definitely wouldn't have mattered to her. And that's the work. The work is constant. Sorry, I have a little fly that's torturing me right now. I'm trying to be compassionate, but I may kill you. My compassion may end you, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, compassion. First of all, compassion is not about being nice.
No.
Compassion is the empathic connection where you link up to someone else and just look at things out of their cockpit. That's all it is. You can do that to the worst dastardly villain in the world. You can have compassion for your villain. In fact, you're going to be able to vanquish your villain because you had compassion for him. You understand his motivation, you understand his perspective, you understand everything about him. I have to stop because I got to give a shout out to CNY Machinist 9393. The dude pulled a 180. He's just like, hey, you've given me a lot to think about. I think I might consider that. I'm not even saying, CNY, that you're agreeing with us. I just love how you freaking doing that, man. You're exercising compassion. You disproved your own theory because here you are doing it right there. And I want to reward that, and that's what we should be doing to each other, is rewarding that kind of stuff. It shouldn't be about, well, I guess I showed you, CNY. It's a totally different approach, isn't it? It's a completely different approach that we're talking about here, guys. And I think most of it's nonverbal. Amanda, I think most of what you did with that girl, with that lady with the shield, was nonverbal. It was limbic. It was shoulder to shoulder, bones broadcasting, bones picking up. And that was the subtle communication. The less words, the better, in fact, because those words are going to give her excuses to leave that train and evacuate if you said the wrong word or the wrong phrase or whatever. I see that all the time in what I do with the language we use, with whatever. It's, if anything, words are excuses for us to derail from the connection. And I'm a writer, guys. If anyone's should be talking up words, it should be me. But all I can do is point to just how inadequate they are and just how far away they are from what's really happening inside you, which is this keel. This is all about keel-to-keel alignment. It's all about keel-to-keel relationship. That's why people hurt each other. They will say in their neocortex, I don't want to hurt you. I want to make sure everything's okay. It means nothing. They're not in touch with their electricity, are they? They're not in touch with their prana economy. There are chips on our shoulder. Some of these chips are looking to exchange. I've got 14 worthless chips, or 14 I suck chips, and I would like to exchange them for 17. You're awful at that. tokens. And as you walk through the street, you find someone that's like, I have 20 off with that tokens. Let's do a trade. And next thing you know, you're in a prana economy and you're filling words to just justify why you're there. The words are just coming in afterwards to go, chrysanthemum, whatever it takes to just keep us in this prana economy. Those are the words that are come out. And I'm telling you, that's what you're seeing most of the time in political debates, because none of us know data. We're being told stories. None of us can experience these stories. And so our energy, our electricity is allowed to flow. That's why you get people that say, well, you're stupid. It's because it's just electricity. And these people, if anything, they're being more honest because they're telling you, yeah, look, I know words don't matter. This is all about electricity. This is a theme, and this is a great, because of this theme, I get to dump a lot of this. Q is a great hope dump theme. Hydrochloric fluid is a great, evil cabal versus white hat theme. These are all opportunities for our electricity to complete the transactions that they want to do anyway. You can change that electricity, but you have to be in your body. You have to be back in your cockpit. And most of us, that's too expensive right now because of trauma, because of what Amanda was mentioning earlier. It's too expensive right now to be in our body, and we should be able to make it expensive for people to be out of their body. I would rather us be doing that. But we got
Well,
a
it
long
is
way to go.
expensive for people because they get sick. It's very expensive. If you keep doing that, right, eventually you will become ill. Because in German New Medicine, we understand that quite a lot, where if you have these emotional situations, right, you keep evacuating yourself over and over again, you'll get emotional damages. And which are really electrical damages, which are really energy field damages, chakra field damages. And those have physical implications, right? And so that if you do not satisfy that emotional energy that is not being acknowledged or resolved, then it will descend into the physical, and the body will go, well, you didn't do it the easy way, so we're going to do it the dense way, the slow way, because you need to peel the layer of this off slowly because you didn't get it with the fast method. So we're going to make you go through a lot of suffering now to get to that, so you can understand it, so you can learn from it because you didn't pick up on it, right? And then you see a lot of cancers like that, are emotional, very emotionally based, right? You'll see, well, I mean, you could literally pull back any disease. You still have to do physical work at that point now because it's taken on a different front.
Yeah.
Right. But this is what happens. You see it in alcoholics, right? They've evacuated themselves over and over and over again, or they can't seem to find the expression to ask for help. They're too prideful to say something's wrong with me, I need help emotionally. They don't know how to express themselves with words. They only feel it, and they're stuck. They feel trapped. So they drink or they use some substance to try to get out of this feeling, right? And then they get sicker and sicker and sicker by those activities, right? And it's very common because they don't have someone is not compassionately saying to them, hey, you stink right now. Get out of these dirty clothes. Go take a shower, okay? We're going to go out into the forest. You're going to take your shoes off and you're going to put your feet on the ground. You're going to hug a tree and you're going to cry into that tree. And then you're going to tell me in the messiest way possible, I'm going to bear witness to what the hell's going on with you right now.
Yeah.
And we're going to get this shit out of you, right?
Yeah. When I've been working, I work on people a lot. This is going to sound really fucked up. I work on people a lot without them knowing that I'm working on them. Like I'll just be talking and I can't help it. It's not like a neocortex thing. I'm more just catching up. Like, oh, what was I doing there? And typically when I see someone that's in trouble, I see ages, different age groups, age brackets inside their face, and I see them switch in real time as they're talking. they'll go from a 7-year-old, just as an example. You'll see someone that all of a sudden they transition into a 7-year-old. You can see the 7-year-old in their face right now, actively out. I'm not talking about hallucination, guys. I'm just talking about there's like a nuanced sort of way you just see it. You just see it. And then as they're talking more, they'll turn into like a 50-year-old. And then they'll turn into like a 30-year-old. And I'm telling you, I'm not good at this yet. Straight up, I've only really seen this in women. I think it's because I just tend to play there a lot where there's like some kind of conflict usually between me and a woman or something. I typically don't have a lot of conflicts with guys. And if I do, there's normally not a lot of face connection. Anyway, as I'm talking, I can see them switch. And I've noticed that the ones that switch the most are the ones that there's the disassociation is the most. And I believe that actually is probably a pointer to the age where they had that disassociation. So I will see a 14-year-old, even though the person I'm talking to is maybe 30, I'm talking to their 14-year-old. And then 5 minutes later, I will call them back, and now something different is on their face. And instead of them being 30, they're like 60 years old. And you can see lines in their face. You can see darkness. You can see shadow. You can see the crone, sort of. So all of these different mediums are coming out. And I feel like that's part of the compassion architecture that's there, that I have the ability to access these different disassociated types. And again, this is why I don't pay attention to the neocortex, Amanda, because those words don't mean shit. I'm just tapping into what is their energy doing right now? What is their pranic exchange? Do they want to disagree with me? The 14-year-old in them might really, really want to disagree with me. So it doesn't matter what I'm saying. If they want to dump their electricity, that face will change. They will become that 14-year-old, and now they're disagreeing with me about something that they completely agree with me on yesterday or the day before or even an hour ago. But they're switching alters. They're transitioning into that new mode. And I think truly what that new mode is simply a different electrical appetite. That's all it is. It's an electrical appetite left over when they were 14 or yesterday or some other trauma from, who knows, a grandparent. I don't know. I don't know how all this works. But I see that more, and I didn't used to see that before. Or if I did used to see it before, I didn't have enough compassion to start to discern it more.
Well, I do a lot of energy work. I'm trained in like multiple modalities because I was so fascinated with obviously human health, but what we're made out of, like what is all this? And I was very fascinated with quantum mechanics, quantum physics when I was young, metaphysics as well, of course. But I started to study, Barbara Brennan's work early on, and people who can see fields and Kirlian photography and these types of things were very intriguing to me. And when I started, I think it was a couple years before I started naturopathic college. I found this group online. I literally think I saw it in a newspaper for a healing modality called magnified healing. And it uses an ascended master, Kuan Yin, to basically assist the chakra balancing, the energy field clearing, and then any excess energy goes and you do an earth healing as well. So you heal the earth at the end. And it was so powerful and so fantastic to me. I just kept chasing different modalities. I did it Shambhala 1024 initiation, all this stuff, and it just added another layer to the knowledge. And I just kept going after. I did Usui Reiki, then I did another type of healing modality, energy healing modality that was more Indian based. And then I found angelic Reiki. And once I did that training, everything just came together. I felt I've got it now. I don't need to do chasing things. I've got this. And doing thousands and thousands of angelic Reiki sessions or energy healing sessions in my life now, both distance and in person, I will see that come from them, that different presentation of their look. I will also see them in their light body and what they look like. I will get pictures of what clothing they wear, if they're forest dwelling types or water dwelling types, and all of this stuff about their inner light body. And I'll tell them usually, like, this is what I saw you are, When they are presenting, say,
say you have somebody young presenting as old, a lot of the times you've got a couple of phenomenons. One, you could have a crossed over loved one that is still very attached to them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're actually trying to hook into them still. And oftentimes in the session, they will approach. And what's interesting is I'll say you might get somebody trying to speak to you in the session. And when we talk after, they'll say, oh, my grandmother came through, or this individual old uncle came through, whatever. And I'll say, okay, that's the person. We're going to cut the cord. This is what they needed to say. And now it releases, right? The other aspect is an epigenetic one where it actually, there's unfinished genetic lineage work, and it imprints somatically on them. And that's not so easy to clear. Unfortunately.
Yeah. In fact, I think most of our addictions come in that same way too, where even if they've been healed, Amanda, keep in mind that the physical pipes have been rewired to want that. And I use the word that very, very broadly here. This is not just about chemical, because all those chemical addictions aren't really chemical. It's a different kind of addiction. It's a deeper addiction. The root's deeper than that. And those have to be epigenetic. They have to be epigenetic. And so you will end up finding yourself with a predilection for certain fetishes, certain fantasies, certain addictions, certain types of people you find yourself attracted to. And you will...
Clothing styles, all sorts of desires and pushes and pulls.
Yeah, I think that I have that bad. I think that there's an addiction in me towards massive letdown in a romance type way. I'm just saying, if you were to like look back at my whole life, there's always been this building up of going to the edge of a cliff and finding the perfect situation and hurling myself from it, like metaphorically or symbolically. I like just setting myself up for the worst possible situation I could imagine, and just the whole time going like, yeah, I'm consenting to this. This is fine. Even though you find yourself in humiliation rituals. I don't think we understand this term. Many of you will participate in a humiliation ritual and you don't even know it. You don't even know it because it's satisfying, again, this electrical prana economy that's been built up in your system, in your skin. You could call it a possession if you wanted to look at it that way, but I think really what it is a vortex or an eddy. If you have a water in a certain way at a stream, certain places are going to be eddies, little soft spots where there's no current. Other places are going to be holes and vortexes, and all kinds of things are happening. I think that until we get true mastery of our energy body, it's going to be covered with these kind of eddies, these kind of systems. And we think that's our identity. We think, well, that's who I am. Who I am is I want this, or I like this, but it's not. It's because we haven't claimed who we are that we end up being told who we are by the electrical fields around us versus telling our electrical field, no, this is who I am. This is like really advanced work. I can't even say that I know how to do it, guys, but I'm telling you that all of your predilections, all of those things can be tweaked electrically. It's an assemblage point thing. I'm telling you, I know this because when I tried to quit smoking, I did quit smoking, but when I was trying to quit smoking, for 10 days, I was so bad. I was like really bad. I wanted cigarettes so bad. The addiction was killing me. I was exercising. I was running up the mountain here all the time, just trying to get over it. And I would climb to the top of the mountain, and it was like day 10, and I wanted a cigarette so bad. And I was actually crying. I was being a little bitch about it. And I finally told myself, I'm not going to quit smoking. This is just too hard. It's too painful. I'd rather just die from it, is what I told myself. I'm no longer going to quit smoking. I'm going to finish my walk to the top of the mountain. I'm going to come home. I'm going to and as I was coming home, I was thinking this, I'm going to brew a cup of coffee. I'm going to smoke a cigarette. It's going to be awesome. And I was planning it out like a picnic. the entire time my electrical system was healing itself as I was walking home. My electrical system was like, okay, yeah, that's over. God, thank God, that dude was trying to screw us. He's like, yeah, I know. He said we couldn't smoke anymore. And and you're just, your whole system is just like, it's okay, guys. It's all right. It's all right. We won. We won. And what happened was, instead, they didn't win. By the time I got home, by the time I brewed my coffee, by the time my mom called, by the time by the time it was time to smoke that cigarette, it's been 26 years later. I just haven't done that yet. But my electrical field thinks that I can. My electrical field is convinced it's all good, man. He's just setting up the right moment. It's going to be a good cigarette. And my electrical system's fine now. It wasn't the willpower. It was a change in the electrical my freaking assemblage point is what got me over that. It wasn't willpower. It wasn't sheer raw. It was none of that. It was an adjustment. Just like I'm telling you guys about, you can lift weights to get stronger, or you can be forced to pick up something that's heavy over and over again. Those are two completely same things, but they have completely different alchemy because of the will and the technology of belief that's been applied to it. That's what changes the entire scene. This is why I'm telling us about compassion right now, because it changes the entire scene when we start to look at this through this cipher, through this new tool, through this new sense that's awakening in all of us.
And there's innocence, there's innocent pieces inside that say, oh, look, there's a butterfly. I'm going to go chase it. Whee! Go, oops, there's a cliff. Oh, dear. Okay, that was close, And we still have those parts to ourselves that we're like, whee! Oh, that looks like that's going to be fun. That looks like that's a good idea, because there's something that it triggers in me that makes me excited or makes me think that there's hope or something, whatever it is. But you innocently, naturally are drawn towards something that's shiny or that's you think is fun, right? And it takes maturity to go, wait a second. Just because the thing is sparkly doesn't mean I should pick it up. Could be a sharp piece of glass, right? I gotta take a second here. So we get caught up in stuff because we have these underlying deeper needs, and it really comes down to the fact that there's some unsatisfied needs and you're projecting it outward, and you're looking for, something that you didn't get in childhood, or you thought that you didn't deserve because, you were told that you were unworthy or whatever, right? I mean, I was told in my family lineage that we've been the females are cursed in our family, that we will never marry. That was the story I was told. Wow. It's like, oh, really? We're cursed and I'll never find my true love? Oh, that's a wonderful thing to tell me. Thanks. But even though I was like, that's stupid, it doesn't matter because it got in. Yeah. It got in, right? And so along the way, however the story is unraveled, it just ended up that, oh, I never got married. I had this desire to give my dad this him walking me down the aisle fantasy thing. And I never felt like I never satisfied that. I failed at that because I was supposed to do that. That was an expectation of me in the belief system, right? And even though the other part of me is like, that's ridiculous, doesn't matter because it was embedded in me in a very young age, right? So all of these mechanisms that are foundational are the most difficult ones, foundational or generational. That's what we're talking about. It's really like digging in the roots out, and the roots are in good. You got to get a shovel in there and you're digging and digging, and it's painful and it's messy, and you might break a piece of the root off and it'll bloody well grow back again. You thought you got it all, that kind of work. And usually, or a lot of it, you won't be able to actually fully unearth. You'll have to adapt. You'll have to recognize and change the behavior. And that's takes some constant level of energy. And some people just don't seem to have that, or they wear themselves down so that it will grow again so they can just flounder in the mess, whatever, let it grow. I don't care about the weeds in my garden anymore. I just don't, what does it matter anymore? And that's when we've given up, right? That's when you see people in that state. So it does take work to do that. And that's why ideally we grow our children without that mess in the first place.
Yeah.
Right? We relieve them of that.
Or even maybe even more practical is expect that there will be mess there and create an opportunity for that mess to express itself in such a way where the child is able to understand it. Because I got to tell you guys, I think probably our biggest pitfall is that we're under the impression that deep down we want to treat ourselves nice. Everyone wants to be nice to themselves. I think that we're under the impression that that's what we want. And I think that a lot of us are fooling ourselves. I think a lot of us are actually not here to be nice to ourselves. And this is not a good thing. I don't think we see it. And I think we find ourselves torturing ourselves without knowing it, without knowing that we want to torture ourselves. And getting in touch with that is hard, especially when you want to torture yourself. You pass through a threshold. I don't know how you're gonna sit with this, Amanda, but I think that PTSD is something that happens sort of like the Dewey Decimal System. When I bring a new book into the library that's never been there, it's assigned a certain category, and it's assigned that category based on the theme of the book. Is it fiction? Is it nonfiction? Is it this? Is it that? And then eventually it's alphabetized by title and author. When you have an experience, your adrenals are a library. They're pulling up from your endocrine. Your entire system is storing these events. And when you have a new event, there is a cataloging process that happens in your body. If you were to hear a car backfire, your system can't just hear the backfire of the car. It actually has to pull up from its salt every other instance that's similar to that to see if this is a huge threat, to determine what is going to be the likelihood of this. Is it going to be super dangerous? Do I need cortisol right now? Do I need to shut off my digestive system? Do I need to induce shock? Do I need to run? Do I need to fight? Do I need to flight? In order to even determine that, we learn from experience. And since we learn from experience, whenever a new input comes in, we must compare it to the threshold, the fidelity of all the other experiences. So I'd like you to imagine a PTSD sufferer that's been in the Iraq War. When he hears a backfire, he's doing what his body's meant to do. His body's completely acting normal. There's nothing wrong with him. What he's doing is he's calling up the loudest bang he's ever heard every time he hears a bang. It could be a knock on the door. It could be a car backfiring. It could be a gunshot. And if it's as simple as a knock on the door, hey, it's your neighbor Chris, you're going to help me move the couch. What happens? He recalls the strongest sound he could because his mind knows, oh, it's not that. But what happened when he recalled it? His electrical system felt it. It shocked him. His aperture wasn't ready. He goes into shock. Now he's palpitating. Now he's hyperventilating. Now he's activated for 6, 8, 12 hours. He's not the same anymore. And it's only because he was looking up his card catalog system. It's only because he was going back to that card catalog system and saying, is this the most intense thing that I've ever seen? Yes or no? And he's left with that. If you can take that PTSD, that scenario, and just shrink it down to a micro level, I think you'll find that's what's happening to all of us all the time. That I knew a girl once that if I wasn't washing the dishes right in the sink, she flipped out, like got angry. I don't mean like, oh, I'd rather do it myself. No, like got really, really tersely angry, and she switched, and she was like 14. And in my head, I simulated her mom is fucking angry at her because she did not do the dishes right. That's what I'm sensing. Probably this is me trying to simulate my compassion for her. And seeing that face switch, seeing the electrical system change, she wants to resolve that high fidelity signal. She wants to replace that, but how do you replace it? You almost have to take them to full throttle, don't you? And get them back to that event, but inside a bubble of trust, inside a bubble of witness and compassion, is about the only thing I can think of that you can bring someone there, put them in that zone in a safe environment. I'm talking about a mutual thing here. And then being able to somehow heal that, release that, reset that, make the PTSD go away, basically.
I turn into a very hot 25-year-old when I'm making love, just so you know. Really, really, really. Like everything just changes completely. My whole body, everything.
Go on. What are you wearing?
Not much right now. So, but anyway, I know what you're, it is a reminder because it's somatic. It's become a body memory, right? Until you can strengthen those systems again. If you can strengthen the limbic system, the gut, right? And there's unpacking work, obviously, to heal that. And if you do that work, you won't pass it very much on to the next generation. You really, won't make them burdened with it. And that's why I like the Reiki so much, because it's all energy.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do talk therapy. You don't have to do all this, it's like going to physio. It's such a waste of time, most of it. It's like, what are you doing? You just make work projects with everything. If you just clean up what's happened to the electrical system of the body, right? So it doesn't keep pulling those cards out every time, and allow the completion. So in the mind's eye, so whatever that gunshot, whatever that sequelae was of that sound, it can complete. It can close the door of that memory. Then it doesn't become an issue anymore inside the body, right? You can release it. Like they've done studies with polar bears that are running away as the helicopter's coming down. They're going to tranquilize them to count their teeth and do the things they do. And what happens to an animal that has been traumatized, it's very traumatic, obviously, to be chased by a helicopter and then shot at. The first thing they will do is they'll physically shake. Their body will like violently shake. They're shaking off physically the experience. And as they get up, they will start running exactly how they were before it happened. They will actually continue the motion exactly where they were at. And what that does for them is then they can end the scenario for themselves. They can now decide, oh, helicopter's gone. I'm safe. This event is now over.
I see.
That was weird, right? And that's why they have those virtual reality games that, people will make for, people that have gone to war. They'll actually put them back in war scenarios where they complete the story.
Yep. And car accidents too. They even have that for car accident victims.
Exactly. Because now they can close that it's an open loop. It's a never ending open and it'll go away in the background of all the other activities until you get the boom, the backfire, and then poof, it's front. And there it is again. Oh crap, this thing again.
Yeah.
Can't close. Right. So it can be healed. It's just, there's a lot of moving parts and there's a lot of lessons in it. And that's, people ask, why did this happen? I said, well, because you gotta pick all the flowers of that garden and get all those lessons. And why? Because some you've been called into learning about that. Look at our brother Aaron. He's been called into helping other people through trauma because he lived it, right? And he survived it and he completed that. So now he can go forward as a healer, right? And help others.
People they're already freaking freaked out about me already. But if we truly look at Thus Spake Zarathustra, the idea of the Superman, which I know is going to those guys are going to freak out over this. Holy God, they're going to freak out over this. If you look at the concept of a Superman, the idealized man, the man that has reached their full potential, or woman, there is this archetype of the Superman. And we miss a lot how a Superman would look compassion wise. I think about that all the time. What would a Superman's compassion be like? What would a fully realized, empathic, compassionate man feel like to be in a room with? And I think it would feel like a full witness, Amanda. I've seen this happen with you. You command witness. I've seen it happen. And people feel that witness and they squirm. They do it to me. That's why I'm able to see it to you. I give my witness sometimes and I watch someone squirm in front of me. And I picture this idea of the Superman, and I picture how much I would squirm in front of them. I've had instances like that where someone's a better witness than me and I'm squirming in front of them. Mm-hmm. And so I picture, as each of us are trying to slowly evolve or trying to slowly develop, there's a regulator on our witness that's actually making it harder for us to grow a better witness. What I mean by that is that you and I are sent to the pasture. We are sent out to away from the village. And I'm herding cats. I've got this one eye, and I've got a big cane, and I'm wearing the same clothes from a long time ago, and I'm happy, but I'm out here because my witness is too powerful. I've been cast out because of that, and so as each of us become this Superman, you can picture that the electrical conductiveness is changed. It requires more space around them. In fact, anyone who's close by with it, they feel the witness. It's too uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So we end up having to introspect ourselves as we gain our witness. As we evolve, as we are evolving, we are developing these skills, which is why I think it's really important that we embrace these gifts of Baal, these downsides as much as possible, because why are we here? If just bear with me, we are here to become Supermen. We are here to reach our full potential as man. Why? And I would say to you that the reason why they would bring us to that kind of fruition is because something is next. Something, we are being bred and trained for something. I believe that it's my DNA that's being trained more than me. I'm only going to be alive 60, 70, 80 years if I'm lucky. It's not me they're training. It's my entire DNA line. And every time I'm reborn, I'm remembering my salts that much more, aren't I? My grandfather was a writer. I'm pretty sure that my great-grandfather was a writer. I think the person who invented the term America First might have been my great-grandfather. He was sent to jail for sedition. He was like, everything that I'm doing now, this dude was doing before. And I don't know him. I don't know how he got there. No one told me a long time ago, hey, you're going to be a writer. It's none of that. I'm remembering my salts. And every time we're reborn, we remember our salts better. Now, those salts are either going to be full of trauma, right? They're going to be full of lead, or they're going to be full of gold. So this idea that there's epigenetic trauma and epigenetic wisdom should be a motivation for us, not to avoid this stuff, but to embrace it. That for us to be broken is actually us to be born with a gift. We've found an emotional clue that shows us where there's a hole in our field, where there is something that could be better, where there's something in us that's not Superman, that's not Zarathustra yet. It's something less than that. And therefore, the more we embrace the vitriol, the sooner we realize this potential inside of us and we're ready for what's next.
Geez, I read that book when I was in first year university, and I remember it. It was actually impactful for me. This picture here, by the way, that's my great-grandmother behind me. And I put her there because she's in the Newfoundland and Labrador Hall of Fame, Business Hall of Fame for entrepreneurship, because she ran, a schooner and cod business. She was one of the first women to do so in Canada and specifically in Newfoundland. And her husband and one of her sons died at sea. And she, instead of giving up, she decided to move forward. And because of that, she actually made a small town, which is called Mozambique, sort of a landmark town, right? So I pull on her energy as an entrepreneur to bolster me, right? So why not know what gifts are there and call upon them to, right? You've got assets and you've got deficits, and so use your assets and, you know, face the deficits, right? And that's how you'll get to your mastery every time, right? Everyone will come in with different subsets of those, and some it's not so pretty. Maybe their karma's heavier or whatnot. So, but still, they'll still have some assets, and they'll still have some. So they'll still have some opportunities, or they'll be presented with opportunities that they can bravely accept, or not, and their choice, right? If they prefer the suffering path, if that's that particular lifetime is to experience level of suffering, then that's what they'll experience, right? That's why, you know, when you get into this type of discussion, people have to have enough spiritual merit to even know what you're talking about. That's why that's why what you said, you know, well, I'm going to get heck for this, is because they're just thinking from 3D. They're not thinking 5D. They're not
even thinking genetically either. Like they
No.
don't see themselves as an avatar for your DNA. Like if you picture your DNA as like a totem pole, right? You right now are simply the one that's on top. Like you who you are, your identity, Amandha Vollmer, is right now happens to be the avatar, the speaker, the representative of, the elected representative of your entire DNA chain. You are here to represent that giant totem here right now, same as I am. And the sooner we learn to tap into our ancestors, the sooner we understand to embrace the things that make us weak, to seek them out, to bring them back to camp and say, I'm going to make a tapestry for my family. I'm going to heal the wampum from my family, the addiction that we have to alcohol. I'm going to spend my life to heal that, for example. Whatever it is, the more we can tap into our ancestors, the more we can stop looking at these as just random, dissonant evil that we just have to try and comfort ourselves from and avoid. And instead, look at this like a beautiful, beautiful gift, because the emotions are showing you where it is you're supposed to work, what it is you're supposed to do. I participated in a humiliation ritual recently where I just kept giving and giving and giving. And as I'm doing it, I felt this sick feeling emotionally inside, like I was nauseous. And I kept giving and giving and giving. And it wasn't me trying to feel good. Trust me, this wasn't a good give. This was me satisfying a humiliation ritual that I think has been deep in my DNA for a long time. That we find these pockets where we can turn ourselves into slaves, a slavery to our addictions, to our fears, to our sloth, to our anger, to anything. And they turn us into these hyenas that run through the hallway, right? Barking at the fluorescent lights. And there's no sun, there's no moon. You're just barking at nothingness. And I know that there's a lot of us around. I know we're all over the place. But if we could cut the shame a little bit, if we could cut the shame of what's inside of us, we're going to be able to see it more. We're going to give it that second attention. We're going to be able to bring it outside and not even fix it, give it witness. This isn't even about fixing, is it? It's more about just witness. That witness seems to complete the transaction. It's like someone understands me. Now I'm done. You could almost argue that cancer is there's a part of you that needed a witness. There's a little chunk of you that needs a witness, and it's not getting that. It's asking for it, but it's not getting it, and we're fighting that desire to have a witness instead of actually giving it a witness. And that goes across the board, not just in cancer. That literally every single thing you could talk about, ego, pride, all this stuff, the way we've inverted all these terms, it's the same kind of thing. We're blocking our ability to give ourselves witness by covering it with shame. Shame is like that inflammation. It's an inflammation. It's stopping you from seeing what wants to be seen inside.
And just as with cancer, for example, it'll have a different underlying impulse. So the underlying impulse in certain diseases will be, I just want attention. I need attention. I'm trying to get someone's attention. So I'll create that disease force. In a lot of cancers, depending on where they are in the body, a lot of them, the underlying sensation is, I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm rejecting being here and having this experience.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a death wish. So they create the exit, for that. So you have to remind them of their value to life, like what the value of their life actually is. They have to desire that in order to heal. So you can't just apply chemo. You can't even apply natural any healing approach unless you get to that core that they truly declare that they want to live this life, because it's a doorway out, right? So it's difficult to be here. Let's just face it. It's not a cakewalk. Apparently, we signed up for this shit show, but I guess there's some really sweet cake at the end that we're really looking forward to, or else we wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, I would even be more optimistic than that and say that we can learn to celebrate our vitriol. We can learn to celebrate finding these things in ourselves and not looking at it quite in such a torturous way. We're going to get there. In fact, the fact that it's so torturous, I think, shows you where we're going to go next. We're going to stop, we're going to stop making that torturous. It's going to happen, because even these little lessons I've had myself with compassion, I can't believe how far they take me. I can go so much farther with this. A guy dumped on me the other day. He's terrified of getting COVID. He wears a mask everywhere, and he just needed to dump about how much he hates non-mask wearers, how dangerous they are, how selfish they are, all that. And I was able to meet him just with my compassion. Even though I'm anti-mask, it was fabulous. I could just be there in the pocket, just like, tell me about it. Tell me, guy, yeah, they're selfish. They don't care. I see what you mean. It doesn't feel like this. It doesn't, and yeah, you feel like this is happening. And yeah, it's a completely different skill. It takes this whole game to a whole other level. It takes it to such a level, I'm finding this fun sometimes. I'm finding the vitriol fun when someone's giving me a challenge that's really difficult for me to meet. Not all the time. The vitriol with Owen's not fun. The vitriol with my own bullshit this morning is not fun. But when people call me names on Twitter or Facebook now, it's just fun. I'm just saying, it's just fun. That's all it is fun. I don't see that vitriol as painful at all. If anything, I take it the other way. I take it as a sign that something's working. That my thumper stuck so far down in the dunes that it called this giant worm that's like, you're an asshole, and I'm like, thank you. It means it's working. So I'm trying to build up my vitriol tolerance as hard as I can. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a new dawn here coming, where even the dissonance, even the vitriol, is something that, because we're giving witness to, we'll find it's actually a very beautiful exercise.
Yeah, sometimes I'll see that, and what I'll do, because it's different responses for different situations, and so I just take a beat and I just listen, and I'll go, what needs to be handed to this person right now? What are they calling out for to me about? And it's in some cases it'll be similar to somebody else, but in other cases it'll be like, they need me to ask them why they feel the need to judge me, or they need me to ask them why do they have such deep anger inside? What is it from? Or they need me to point something out for them because I walk a healer's path. I walk a wounded healer's path. So that is an opportunity, because they really have called out, right? And they said, help. It's really, That's how I see it. I hate you. You're this. Oh, it's help me.
Yep.
I say, oh, are you needing help? Do you need help with your anger right now? Or how you're judging me right now? What are you judging about in yourself that you're projecting that? That sort of thing. Sometimes it's just an opportunity to provide a level up for them, really.
Yep.
And it definitely doesn't have to always be nice, as we talked about.
No.
Sometimes it's just
very rarely.
Very rarely, but it can be calm. Meaning you're not spewing all over the place.
Right.
You're modeling. They're children. You have to model for them. Children will learn more if you model the behavior rather than tell them how to behave, right?
Yep.
Because they're watching you. So present to them how you would expect them to present to you if they were an adult. And you invite them up to your level rather than, of course, going down and playing in the muck with them, which sometimes they need to see that at the beginning so they can have a relationship. They can relate to you. So sometimes that is appropriate. But most of the time you're like, okay, we played in the muck now. I'm up here. You gonna come shower and join me or what?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's teaching them. It's helping them.
Unbearable 33 asked, isn't this kind of compassion lack of ego? And Amanda, you may disagree with that. Please feel free to. But I think it's the antithesis of that. I think that compassion is a byproduct of ego. Ego is the literal energy of your heart. It's right here. And this heart, where's your compassion coming from? It's coming from your heart. And therefore, the stronger, the more calories, the more prana you have in your heart, the more you're able to extend it to Amanda, or extend it to James, or extend it to Mustache Bear, or whoever else. It is your surplus that makes you compassionate. It is your surplus that makes you moral. It's just like the T-Rex arms. This is BLM. There's not a surplus of reach. This is as far as your compassion can reach for BLM. Black Lives Matter, right? But as you gain more calories, you now can reach a totally different level of compassion. And I think that's why the ego is shamed, because it cuts down on compassion. And if we are all removed from compassion, the vitriol grows stronger. Everything gets worse. Everything becomes heated, more pressurized, more alchemized, in fact. So I would urge you all to please reconsider that ego itself is the source of compassion. It is the life force it's the crucible. It is the literal crucible of compassion.
I agree, because it's about knowing thyself, and that's ego. You have to know who you are. You have to know all your mechanisms. You have to know your overlays. You have to know your imprints. You have to know who you are. You have to know how you communicate. You have to know what your mistakes are, like what you tend to do, right? When you're in certain situations, like sometimes I overshare, so I have to like modify that.
Oh, gee.
I know you think, James?
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean, though, right? And that in order to be able to geographically support someone, you have to know where you are in the map first, right? Like, how are you going to make directions if you have no clue where you're at, right? It's like, well, go down here, try over there, whatever, right? It's like, no, I know I'm like right here. So I'm going to say, I know that you have to go down that road and make a left, because I have my GPS position, and that's your ego. That's how I see it. It's just a roundabout way of saying the same thing, basically.
Yeah. It's refreshing to hear that. I didn't want to put words in your mouth. You're literally, I think, the only other person that sees it that way by default. And I think that's really, I definitely think more people are now, but it's refreshing to see. It's part of we talk so much shit about our bodies, about our hearts, about everything. It's just relentless how much we love to throw ourselves in a pit and drop lotion down a basket and just treat ourselves like just freaking slime. And that's considered nice. That's considered standard fare. Yeah. That when you go to church, the person who treats themselves like shit the most typically is considered the most religious, humilitous, pious, all of that combined. And so you really do have a public flogging ceremony where we're walking around with a cat of nine tails, beating ourselves on the back, only in public, only in broad daylight, only on Saturday. We wouldn't do that alone at home, no. And we're doing it for the virtue. And the reason why we want that virtue is because we've told ourselves pride is an evil word. We've told ourselves ego is an evil word. We've told ourselves reputation. We've told ourselves ignorance is an evil word. And we've turned ourselves into these hyenas that are just running as fast as they can through the hallway. They're rest assured, they're sure, as soon as they can just run around the corner, they're going to see that chicken, they're going to see whatever it is they're after, they're going to catch it. They just have to keep running faster. And you have an entire society built inside that fluorescent hallway right now. And anyone who tries to get out like we have is called nuts and crazy.
You know how I see it? I see it like these individuals have not, they don't even see the ego. They're blind to it completely. And so it is like a tantrumous child that's just doing whatever. It's like, blah, 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 like a hose just going like this, right? And once they face it, the ego, and accept the ego and go, oh, hey, that's me. Oh, I'm this, I'm that ugly thing and that horrible thing and that thing I don't like and all those things, or that thing I do like. Okay, that's really interesting. And go, I accept. Now you're in charge, right? Now you make decisions for you, right? Rather than it just comes up and just, oh, what the hell happened? I don't know. That, to me, that's what we're talking about when people say, oh, she's an egomaniac, or that person's this ego, blah, blah, blah. Just, to me, it's just they haven't accepted that ego. The ego is just like running through, like at a party, an adult party, all of a sudden the child comes down from the bed and just starts tearing through the place and screaming and making a mess, and like all of a sudden, right? Because they're not in charge. So that's one analogy that I find. Because listen, I do the pendulum swing. I live that. I always do the full, and I do the other side before I master it. That's been my whole life doing that. I did that with the ego. I totally abandoned my ego 100% because I thought that's what spirituality was. And I completely lost myself. I didn't know I had no direction, no purpose, because I had no direction. So
right.
I was floating around.
And well, when we reject our heart, we're rejecting our ego. When we reject our heart, we are rejecting our ego. It really is that. And that's why when your heart beats, you have ego. And when your heart doesn't beat, you don't have ego. It's not that hard. It's only hard when you listen to Freud. It's only hard when you've absorbed and regurgitated everything you've ever been told. That's the only thing that makes it hard. You should have not paid attention in school. You should have not done that. And you were actually rewarded to pay attention. No one was rewarding you not to pay attention. They were punishing you. And it turns out the whole time, they were encouraging you to be sovereign, to reject everything that's outside of yourself and just look at the world through pure experience, through zetetics. It's funny, but the entire time you've been coaxed and bribed into evacuating yourself and hating yourself and treating yourself this way. And the entire time your inner core from a toddler has been like, don't do it, Amanda, don't listen to the teacher. And you're just like, but I would be so bad if I didn't. And we grow up that way. We literally grow up that way, rejecting and shaming our inner child, that inner voice that's literally trying to tell you the truth the entire time. And I think that's what makes it such a core gelding. I'm talking about your psyche has been gelded because you've abandoned that voice for so long that the voice finally just gives up, man. It's just like, what's the point? And you have to find that. You have to go back into that voice and find it. You got to look in that dark, dark, dark room deep in the closet and say, where are you? Where are you? And you'll eventually hear it, and you got to pull it out. And it's going to cost ego. It's going to cost all those things. It's going to cost all these people calling you evil, telling you how awful you are for doing it. Like Sedona Bear. Sedona Bear for 4 days has been telling everyone how evil I am because I priced my books at $69 for all 4 books, which is a hell of a deal, which is
It's
why
really
I'm
good deal.
transmitting Sedona Bear's bullshit tweet into a sales opportunity. 4 books for $69 is a hell of a deal. But no, Sedona Bear's like, no, he's trying to do like a ritual sacrifice and all kinds of stuff because he's got the number 69 in there.
Oh, come on. Really?
It's been a full week of vitriol from this, and most of them have the word bear in their name. It doesn't mean all bears are that. I mean, actually, it's amazing. Most of my mods are bears. Most of like the kick-ass people are bears. But there's definitely this faction of Bearians that are convinced that I am the source of all their problems, that I'm the source of their problems, that if I was gone or if I was to shut my mouth, the evil in the world that they are being exposed to would go down. And that's a sickness. That shows you why it's so profitable to pawn these stories off, the salaciousness, all of it. This is because we want these electrical connections. They mean nothing at all with logic. It's purely about the electrical transaction. What's the cheapest thing I can do? Yes, including shipping hints for life. It's a great deal. Thank you for getting them out so quick. I appreciate that. You're right. I'm in stock right now. All right. It's been over 2 hours.
Oh my God, it has?
Yeah, but you were late, so,
Oh.
we didn't get the full Amanda. And we're bummed by that. We are.
I wanted to, create this where, I was pulling back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that they wanted me more. Just like, take the candy away and
Right.
then they want it more, right?
Right.
So it was a perfect example of our theme today.
I see what you mean. That's an interesting tactic. I wonder if it would work. I know if I was to do that, they'd be like, he's gone. So Amanda, can you go full screen and just talk to us for a while? And that would be fun too. You guys, Amanda's links are at the top. It's in the YouTube stream there, link to. OKC Bear, thanks for the text. I was trying to get you this link. I should have had it earlier, but there is a link in YouTube in the description, and I need to put that in DLive. But that is Amanda's channel, and I really, really encourage all of you guys to subscribe and check her out. I'm going to do that. While I'm doing this, Amanda, can you say something lovely while I'm pulling up your link and putting it in chat?
Something lovely.
That's perfect, Amanda. I love how spontaneous and real that was. I think
I
that there was a
know.
real genuineness there that everyone felt. Actually, that was very genuine. So.
We could go back to that 25-year-old in the bed thing. I'm really enjoying that visual for myself, frankly.
OKC Bear, can you take notes on this? Go ahead.
So how it goes is basically, well, you know what? We'll talk after. So by the way, I wrote a book. It's called Healing with DMSO, even though he's written 4 or so, whatever. And he's writing the 5th one.
Mm-hmm.
He's better than me. But that's my website's healingwithdmso.com for that book. If you just want the book, but it's also on my YumNaturals.com website as well, with all the other DMSO products I make and everything else I bring into the store. And Yummy.Doctor's coming soon. That's pretty exciting. We're still working on that website.
Oh, that's
And
a new
that's
website you're doing?
Yeah, it's on my blogs, my teaching videos all be copied there.
Oh, great.
How to book with me, all this stuff. So.
Okay, here is Amanda's channel in YouTube. Guys, please subscribe to that right now, please. I'm not going to ask you twice. Guys, please subscribe to that, please. I'm not going to ask you 3 times. And then here's DLive, Amanda's channel. I know, guys, this is YouTube. She doesn't have a DLive yet. We're working on that, though. We're working on that.
I've had a challenging time. I had BitChute for a while, and then nothing will upload when I tried. It's annoying. I kind of gave up. I'm like, ugh.
Yep.
I'm on Library, but it just basically grabs it from YouTube and just plops it over there. So it's basically YouTube.
Well, you're getting lots of praise from there. Laura Bear says, love you, Amanda. Been an interesting chat. Thanks, guys. Great stream, Amanda and James. Amanda, you look radiant today, and the two of you are great together every time. Thank you. Vasia. Awesome stream, James. Oh, gosh, this is killing me. Sorry, Force Bear. You will recover, though. I know it. And I know you're just kidding there, buddy. I got the book, How Do I Find Out If DMSO Helps with MS? Thanks, says Hench for Life.
It does, because MS is caused by mercury poisoning usually, and the gut is all messed up. So you want to be doing the ingestion protocols for the DMSO, and do both topical and ingestion. Make sure there's no metal fillings in the mouth at all. That has to be removed. And then do proper metal cleansing, like chlorella, spirulina, clays, MMS, or chlorine, excuse me, chlorine dioxide solution with DMSO is a good combo to get rid of metals out of the body. There's lots of ways about it, but that has to be cleaned up. And the gut is usually terrible with MS. It's a huge part of the picture. So that's first steps anyway. And DMSO can definitely accelerate that process quite well.
Excellent answer. Thank you. Mike News says, I need my little sister to become addicted to Amanda. It's not going to be hard, Mike. You just, I'd say 3 doses and they'll be hooked. It's always 3. You need that 3. It really brings it home for people. You guys rock. Thank you. I had fun, y'all. Thanks, Kai Wolf. Smiling, please rip those fillings out. Wow, DQuest. DQuest, I cannot wait to show people what you sent me. I just want you to know I got it. I'm looking forward to showing that to you. All right, Amanda, anything else to you before we say goodbye?
I did, and then I forgot because I got all talking about other stuff, and it's like
I think you were going to say something about the 25-year-old thing again. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
Oh, you know what I was going to say is my birthday is on August 5th, so it's in a few days, and I'll be 46.
Wow.
I did the math. Yeah. Because I was like, I don't know, I'm in my 40s. I probably should look that up.
Wow, you look fantastic. So, that's wonderful. Happy birthday. That's super duper.
Thank you. So I'll be 46 the next time we do our show, probably, I think.
That's awesome.
Maybe.
I believe Monday is the full moon. 11:59 a.m. according to Eastern Time. If anyone has not done a campfire yet, it is the waxing moon, which means you still have time. Real quick, I just want to tell you how this works. The land is not going to hear your words. The land does not speak English. It speaks heart. And if you were to, every new moon, every waxing moon, maybe on the new moon, but every waxing moon, if you were to set a fire on your property, I'm not talking about your building or your neighbor's house. I'm talking about like a fire ring, a campfire, that the first time you do it, the land will go, oh, that's interesting. That's novel. I haven't seen that before. And then the next time you do it, it's like, oh, that's a coincidence. It did that last new moon. And then the third time you do it, it's like, wait a minute. This person's talking to me. The land's going to hear that. It's going to hear a pulse. Why? Because everything in the world that's alive has a pulse, doesn't it? Now, the land has a very low bass note because it's so big, which means for you to talk to the land, you have to talk slow, like over an entire month, right? So every month, you're giving it a pulse, right? You're lighting a fire and you're giving it a pulse. Every month, every waxing moon, the land hears you pulsing, and that land's going to start talking back to you. It's going to find your salt. It's going to track you. You're going to be walking through the woods, and all of a sudden, you're going to feel like Gentle Ben from Grizzly Adams, and you're not going to know why. You're going to be connected to the land deeper than you thought you were before, and it's all because you did this campfire. Do it. Do it before the full moon. And if you can do it this time, do it the next time. And if you want ashes from us, Amanda and I, we have ashes. We will mail them to you for free. We would love to do that, but you do not need them to do this. But imagine what the land would think if it started seeing the exact same salts that were from the exact same fires from all over the world. Now the land hears pulse, 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 and then it recognizes, wait a minute, there's a pulse in D.C., there's a pulse in Washington, there's a pulse in California, there's a pulse in North Carolina, there's a pulse in New York, there's a pulse in Canada, there's a pulse, and it's going to start to understand that the land has someone listening to it. And all it takes is this campfire. I'd like you to picture yourself the ground. You're in the ground deep where the roots are, you're looking straight up. And you're seeing the surface of the dirt, just like underneath the water. If you were in the pool and you're looking up, you can see the surface of the dirt. And on that surface, you'll see a ring of rocks. And in the center of that rocks, you will see a fire. And that's what the land's going to see. So start that fire. Do it. Do it. Talk to the land. Tell it you're listening. Tell it you're back. Say, I'm back, land. I hear you. I hear you. And things will change. This is 2020. This is the best apocalypse ever. Right now is the time to do this. I encourage you all, please join us in this endeavor. It will be wonderful. It will be wonderful.
That's when I'm doing my new fire, by the way, this full moon.
Oh, that's fabulous. I love it. That's great.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Amanda, thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
you.
I'm really, really
Yeah.
glad we're doing this. And
Same.
yeah, I look forward to next time we'll be on your channel, which is why all you slackers who haven't subscribed need to subscribe. I posted the link, so you've got the link there to subscribe to her. And maybe next week she'll be on D Live, guys. Keep in mind, guys, that if she does get to D Live next week, I will definitely make it a point to post that on my D Live. Let me rephrase that. OKC Bear is so on top of this stuff that I know he will definitely take the time to post a link on there. So just keep in mind, we will keep you. I'm all about D Live. Amanda is too. She's just setting it up. That's all. It'll be there eventually. All right.
Awesome. Thanks, James.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'm going to hit end meeting, Amanda. It's just killing me. I'm going to not see you again. You've been delightful. And yeah, I look forward to hearing how your campfire went. And I'm looking forward to telling you happy birthday. That's going to be great. So yeah,
Yep.
we have a lot
Great.
of plans ahead of us.
We do.
Have a great night. We'll talk to you later.
I will. Okay.
Okay,
ciao.
bye. All right, guys, that was the amazing Amanda Vollmer. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that you enjoyed this week. I certainly found it interesting. I still am finding it interesting. That was a deep dive this week. And I tell you, when I asked for vitriol a few months ago, I was surprised at how frequent and how heavy it has fallen. But I'm glad it happened. I welcome this vitriol, even though my face might show otherwise, even though my stream might have shown you otherwise this morning. I hope I wasn't too you know what? I was authentic this morning. And if I have a shitty day again, I'm going to still try and do the live stream and just be authentic. I don't want to pull a Good Morning America here and start telling you guys how happy I am all the time when I'm not. It's just, I hate nice. I really think that nice is one of the biggest problems we have in the world. Is we've created this idea where if everyone's nice, everyone's okay. But when everyone's nice, really what's happening is everyone's fronting. And I think fronting just makes the dissonance even worse. I cannot handle people that lie in front. We need something better. We deserve something better, even if it means vitriol. Even if it means that. So, yeah, that's what you get when you watch the James True channel. That's exactly what you get. You consented. You gave me your time. You gave me your devotion. You guys have a great day. Thank you so much for being here. Happy July. We'll see you August. Set that campfire, all right? Set that campfire.